There's nothing funny about a fucking whacked out nut job like Marjorie Taylor Greene. The bitch is fucking nuts. Um, the day after she was stripped of her committee assignments in the U.S. House of Representatives, Marjorie Taylor Greene said that she found the whole thing funny, but really she was removed because she's a big conspirator of she's a big she's a big contributor for what they call QAnon, which is a fake news which is like a fake news thing where they spread conspiracy theories. That's basically there's nothing based in fact with them anyway. But basically, she woke up early that morning, literally laughing, thinking about what a bunch of smart people the Democrats are. The morons are the freaking Republican Party. But basically, she says, "Oh, and they're giving someone like me free time." Not really. The Congresswoman from Georgia tweeted on Friday, referring to the lawmakers that the plus 11 are fellow Republicans, who voted to penalize her for endorsing baseless conspiracy theories that fueled the insurrection at the Capitol. And the replies to her post were swift and plentiful, and the gist of many of them were simple. And we're the ones laughing at you, you dumb bitch. Basically, she's a fucking nutcase, one commentator declared. Another shared an illustration of Greene in circus makeup and labeled her a Q clown, a reference to her endorsement of QAnon. One meme listed other conspiracy theories that Greene had promulgated, and Barack Obama. Basically, her one conspiracy theory is Barack Obama is a secret Muslim. Sandy Hook and the Las Vegas massacre were staged, and that they didn't really happen. And California wildfires were started by space lasers, that were owned by Jewish people. Emblazoned in red lettering next to a photograph of her face were the words "crazy, dumb cunt Marjorie." Crazy is a word often attached to Greene, but although the ideals that she endorsed as she shot to national prominence are ludicrous, they didn't come out of nowhere, which is to say that they make a perverse kind of sense, but pull back the absurdist the veil, and you'll find fears and bigotry so familiar to dumb right American, and even the most outlandish conspiracy theories can be stepping stones to dangerous extremism, but none of us should be laughing at this. Conspiracy theorists aren't just cranks in tinfoil hats drifting around the margins of society, but a December poll found that fewer than half of the Americans would say that the core idea of QAnon, which they refer to as a group of Satan worshipping elitists who run a child sex ring, are trying to control our politics and media, and is definitely false. Nearly 40% believe that the QAnon tenet that the deep state is out to get Donald Trump, which is not true. They almost half agree with the lie that the majority of the summer's Black Lives Matter protests were violent, and only one-third believe that voter fraud helped Joe Biden win the 2020 election. But who constitutes these fractions matters just as much as how big they are. People tend to embrace conspiracy theories because they're experiencing fear, ostracism, or a sense of losing control. They seek stories to explain what's happening in a way that suits their needs and convictions, and those narratives become sources of power, validation, and even superiority. But perhaps then, given the country's diversifying demographics and liberal moves, or democratic moves is what they should have said. But it's no surprise who is flocking to conspiracy theories. People like Dumb Cunt Green, who are white and on the wrong side of history. Despite their enduring privilege, many white Americans feel left out or left behind. A sprawling disinformation ecosystem which includes faux news, Breitbart, and some YouTube channels and Facebook groups, basically reinforces their grievances and nauseism. Um, what the data on the conspiracy theories don't always reveal, though, is the DNA of the lies. Is the DNA of the lies that are plaguing America. Today's most prominent falsehoods are really just variations on old themes. Embedded in QAnon's depiction of a conniving global cabal, for instance, is ZOG, or Zionist Occupied Government, which is what it stands for, a white supremacist fantasy dating back to the 1970s in which powerful Jews are conspiring to run the world. Zog draws from the same wells of prejudice that Nazism did, and those waters run centuries, even millennia deep. The space laser theory endorsed by Greene, which elicited so many LOLs online, has shades of Zog in its claim that a secretive corporate league, including the Rothschild Inc., controls the machines. QAnon's mandate to hashtag save the children may seem benign on its face, but then so do the other 14 words. We must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children. That influential white supremacist slogan, coined in the late 20th century, sounds a whole lot like a passage of Mein Kampf, and what we must fight for is to safeguard the existence and reproduction of our race and our people and the sustenance of our children. Simply, the Ku Klux Klan pledged in its founding principles first to protect the weak, the innocent and defenseless, you have to include the white children. Meanwhile, the notion that the election was stolen from Trump, which it wasn't, and thus from the maggot believers, has echoes of the lost cause, power, and purpose unjustly ripped from the lives of good, God-fearing white Americans, now remind that a cataclysmic war was brought over those Americans' rights to hold the fellow human beings in bondage, or that Trump's administration, by turns cruel and incompetent, inspired a record-breaking number of people to go to the polls to remove him from office. And why face reality when you can take comfort in a fucking lie? Um, the conspiracy theories' shared DNA not only points to the racism, anti-Semitism, and other bigotry that begat so many of today's falsehoods, it also shows the dark places where ideals are dismissed as crazy can lead to. Conspiracy theories are always gateways. Belief in one elaborate lie can lead a person to believe another, and another in a race to the ideological bottom. The internet is so full of stories of people radicalized this way, and some high profile while others not. Andrew Anglin, a neo-Nazi troll who founded the website The Daily Stormer, became a white supremacist by watching InfoWars. I grew up with a pretty serious sense of personal alienation in the modern, what they call Jewified society. Anglin had once said in an interview, "I went and looked for answers of why this is happening, and nothing really felt right about the way the world worked. It was a process. The first thing I came across was the fat ass Alex Jones, and England isn't a gnome. David Newert, who's a reporter who has covered the far right for many years, told Reveal that the extremists now functionally live in the same alternative universe, and epi- the epistemological bubble that's concocted and controlled by a mini media industry of conspiracy theorists, and the number one purveyor of all this, and the man who took the marketing of his bubble mainstream and the process ruined millions of people's lives, is the fat ass Alex Jones." Other examples of radicalization by the conspiracy theorizing are Lana Lockteff and Henrik Palmgren, the proprietors of the alt media platform Red Ice. That one I never heard of. The married couple started out broadcasting shows about UFOs and secret societies before going full KKK. They now peddle conspiracy theories such as white genocide, which asserts the enemies of the white race are trying to eradicate it, and feature guests who tell racist lies, including a shock jock who said that Dylan Roof's massacre of black church parishioners in Charleston, South Carolina, bore the telltale signs of a stagecraft. But some of the conspiratorial ideas that Red Ice has been promoting since at least 2014 found their way into the conservative mainstream during the Trump era, and it's propagated by Republican lawmakers and highlighted on Faux News. Lockteff is well aware of how people wind up on red ice. They search around online, she said, and they will find some of the bait and some of the memes out there and kind of go down the little rabbit hole, and they find us. But those who go down the rabbit hole might begin by wondering why there are a growing number of Spanish language TV channels, and why public schools let Muslim students wear hijabs, or why white women are having so few children, and then ask themselves if something bigger is going on, something nefarious, something that people in positions of power don't want everyone else to see. But Red Ice gives them the answers they crave. If a person is already primed to expect conspiracy theories, the descent from strange beliefs to overly hateful ones can happen particularly fast, which is why the post-inauguration period is so scary. QAnon's many followers thought that a storm was coming, a reckoning that would destroy the pedophile cabal once and for all. When that didn't happen on January 20th, acolytes were left asking why, and some realized their grievous error in judgment, others doubled down on their zealotry. Another cohort was left to seek a new dogma. They are easy prey for extremist hucksters eager to sell them a new lie. Already, researchers are noting that chatter among white supremacists geared toward recruiting QAnon's low-hanging delusion fruit. In her February 4th remarks on the House floor, protesting her pending removal from legislative committees, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the dumb cunt, said that she regretted being allowed to believe things that weren't true. Yeah, bullshit. Including QAnon. Make no mistake, she chose to believe them and endorse them. Even people prone to conspiratorial thinking have agency. So please don't laugh at the dumb cunt Greene, but be angry at her choice. Be angry that she encouraged violence against her Democratic colleagues. Be fucking angry that so many Americans agree with her. There's nothing funny about who this fucking bitch really is, and what the fuck she even stands for, and what she and the other conservatives are fucking capable of. But in this democratic, tyrannical government, conservative Republicans have to basically say no on the committees anyway. Um, yeah, but that bitch is a fucking nutcase, and there's nothing funny about what she does.